me and you, I guess. All right. Yep, as mentioned.
This is the reinvestment zone number 3 for downtown Corpus Christi. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Chairman Mike Pusley.
Here.
Board members Roland Barrera.
Here.
Sylvia Campos. Here. Rudy Garza. Here. Paulette Guajardo. Is absent. Gil Hernandez.
They're both here. Well, I walked in with them.
Okay, I think he's in the back. Michael Hunter.
Here.
Jim Klein.
Here.
Everett Roy.
Here.
Connie Scott. Not here. James Sedgwick.
Here.
Dan Suckley.
Here.
General Manager Peter Zanoni.
Present.
All right, a quorum of the board is present to conduct the meeting.
Thank you very much. Is anyone signed up for public comment? Anyone would like to make public comment? If not, we'll move on to item D, minutes from the previous meeting. Anyone have any questions or comments on the minutes? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. We'll move on to item E, financial report. Good morning, ma'am.
Heather Hulbert, Assistant City Manager. So we'll be reviewing the financial statements for the 6-month ending March 31st, 2024. So we'll bring the presentation up. There we go. Okay, so the TIRZ began the year with a fund balance of 7.9 million. Revenues year to date are about 3 million. Expenditures year to date are 769,000, and leaving us with an ending fund balance of about $10 million. We do have commitments of 7.9 million, which are paid over a series of years through 2028, which leaves a balance available for commitments of 2.2 million, but we will look forward through the cash flow to look to see what is available in the meantime. So looking at the cash flow right now, we are estimated to end each fiscal year with a significant fund balance, and so there is funding available for additional commitments moving forward. Right now, this TIRZ is scheduled to end in 2028, but it is something that we've already started conversations of extending this TIRZ to be able to continue moving forward with funding for incentives and projects downtown. So looking through our different programs that are allocated, so under the project-specific development, we have about $4.1 million in commitments. This is a rebate of property taxes as those projects are finished and paid in, and so we do have commitments extending through 2028. Moving into the targeted vacated property improvements, we do have 2 commitments totaling $996,000, and those are for 2 separate projects. Downtown living initiatives, we have about $3.9 million in commitments, and those do extend through 2028. Commercial finish out, $143,000 in commitments. These are a little bit shorter term, and so we do have commitments that will be paid out in 24 and 25 as those projects are completed. Streetscape and safety improvement programs, we have $1.8, almost $1.9 million in commitments, and this is across multiple projects. We do have several projects that will be paid out over a series of several years. The rooftop activation program, we do have $1 million in commitments for the 1 project. Then that does conclude my presentation, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Holbert. Any questions, board? Heather, I think if you'll open that presentation up and go back
sure
to
can.
page 3, please. I think it's page 3.
Bring it back up for me. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and I think it's important to explain to the listening audience that I've had several calls here recent that people are concerned that the TIRZ either here or on Padre Island is running out of money.
Exactly.
And that's not exactly the way it works. So
That
if
is
you could
correct.
just spend a second explaining that based on these future
Sure. So
balances.
the TIRZs are set up so they do receive revenue on an annual basis. So it is based off of property taxes. As we go through and we estimate here across the next several years, we use a conservative estimate of basically assumption that the taxes aren't going to grow, which we've seen basically year-over-year growth. Then we go through and then overlay what our current and future incentives are. Those are paid over a period of years. And so we take our revenue, then we look at what incentives be paid. We slot them within different years based off of the project deadlines, anticipated completion dates, things along those lines. Then we layer in admin and other expenses. So those are projects that aren't incentives. So they may be things that the projects that the DMD are doing within the downtown area, the administration, things along those lines. And then when it comes to an ending fund balance that we estimate for each year. So because we have revenue coming in on an annual basis, and because those expenses are spread across multiple years, as you can see, there is sufficient fund balance that can be awarded to new projects. We work very closely with the DMD as they're going through and looking at what incentives they're going to recommend to make sure that there is sufficient cash within each year. Sometimes we have to break those payments up over several years to ensure that not only is there sufficient cash for those incentives, but also that there is future cash to be able to provide additional incentives in future years.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Any questions, board? Okay, thank you, Heather.
Okay, thank you.
We'll move to item F, executive session. Do we have an executive? None? Okay. Then we'll move to item G, agenda item G3. Alyssa? Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Chairman, board members. Alyssa Badetta-Mason, Executive Director of the Downtown Management District. The first item we have before you is a motion to approve a downtown development agreement with 416 North Chaparral Street, LLC, for improvements to the property located at 416 North Chaparral Street for a total incentive amount not to exceed $3,060,000, effective upon signature by the city manager. So if we could move into the presentation. Next slide. We have the developer here with us in the audience, David Fournier. He's recently completed, and we are ready to, I think, soon host a ribbon cutting for the North Water Apartments, which is at the former Princess Apartments location, and this will be Dave's second project in our downtown reinvestment zone. So the site that we are looking at is Seagulf Villa Apartments. As many of you may recall, this was previously a HUD Section 8 62 and up affordable housing complex. Dave's company built another property for all of those individuals to move into, and is now at the phase of his project to renovate the Seagulf Villa Apartments. It will be called 416 Flats. It was acquired in 2019. 2016, and it will be converted into 102 apartment units. It will consist of apartments, townhomes, so the first floor will have some 2-story units, and then the very top floor will have some larger units that will be more penthouse style. The units will rent from $900 to $2,300, and there will be 2 retail spaces on the first floor. Improvements will include new elevators, new HVAC, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing repairs, reconfiguration of the common areas, reconfiguration of the retail spaces, sheetrock repairs, new flooring, paint, cabinets and countertops, and new doors for the units. Additionally, exterior improvements will include repairs to the brick facade, a new entrance, and when I say new entrance, he's going to enclose the current breezeway with glass. It'll retain the historic integrity of the property as he is utilizing historic tax credits. They'll have new windows, new outside paint, repaving the parking lot behind it, new parking lot fencing, lighting, security cameras, awnings, and landscaping. We list the total project cost at $14.9 million. This includes purchase price, all soft costs, holding costs, contingency, and we track it this way because otherwise there's no way to really track the investment that goes in when a property is purchased, and we don't really track that when we're tracking investment into downtown. So when we are identifying project costs, we'll include all the costs associated with the project, and that's also how we identify the potential incentive cap. So we are recommending out of the Downtown Living Initiative, and the project should be complete by August 30th, 2027. Next slide. So just some history on the property. This building was constructed in 1928. It opened in 1929. It had commercial storefronts on the first floor, office spaces, and then some hospital facilities on the top floor. In 1979 is when it was converted into the Seagull Villa Apartments, which is when it became that affordable housing property, and it was in that condition for 40 years. This was actually one of downtown's most challenging properties because a lot of the individuals that were living in these conditions had some sort of accessibility issues, and the building wasn't necessarily designed to accommodate that. So it really did not provide a very good quality of life for many of the individuals that were living in this building over time. Here are some current photos of the condition of the interior. The first 2 photos are of that breezeway area. You can see just the natural wear and tear of the salt air. And then there are some photos of just the dated cabinets and restroom facilities in all of the units. These are actually some of the better conditioned units. But again, there are 102 that are going to be as part of this project afterwards. So all of these are being completely renovated. Here are some photos of the exterior. I don't think that anyone has walked past this building and not been dripped on by the condensation from the window AC units, so that's going to be one of the main upgrades, or one of the biggest upgrades that they undertake. There will be mini splits, but there will also be a whole system to route that condensation and manage it appropriately so it doesn't end up on our heads or on the sidewalk, which I think will be a huge improvement. You can also see that that condensation did cause a lot of wear on the facade of the building. There's also issues with the roof, so we'll be making improvements there. And then, of course, to that parking lot, which some of you may remember was once a parking garage. It was torn down many years ago due to stability concerns. Right now, it'll be renovated as a parking lot. And in the future, there may be a time where it is returned to a parking garage, but that's not something we're worried about at this point in time. Here are some of the interior project concepts. So you can see that bottom photo is an upgrade. It'll be the front of the new townhouses. So it'll go from that breezeway that has kind of a weird 2-story kind of walkway to something a lot more open, a lot more airy, and a lot more welcoming and just contemporary, as this will be a market rate apartment complex. And then those are some photos of the townhouse units. So that shows you, again, the upgrades and the condition that we will have. Here are some renderings of the exterior, so you can see just a really refreshed front with that glass breezeway, or that glass facade replacing the breezeway, as well as just a nice exterior. Blue awning will be installed in order to kind of restore that historical integrity. And then branding. So Dave did work with MDR Design to come up with a new brand. Of course, we're repositioning this property, so we want to separate it from Seagull Villa Apartments. So it'll be called 416 Flats. And, you know, there's the color scheme. The branding will be really intentional as we are creating a new experience for downtown residents, and we want to make sure that we're providing that higher-end lifestyle. So then moving on into the floor plans, this shows you the 6 townhouse units as well as the 2 retail spaces and the leasing office. This is the second floor, so it just kind of shows you some of those additional units. And then levels 3 through 9 will have approximately 12 units on each floor. And then the 10th floor will have larger units as well. So this project in total will have 13 2-bedrooms, 15 studios, and the remainder will be 1-bedroom apartments. Here's the site plan just to show you where the property is in relation to the parking lot that we talked about. So all in all, we are recommending a $3 million incentive package to be paid over 4 years at $765,000 increments. We think that'll help us on the back end manage the cash flow and support as many projects as possible. And with that, we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions, board? Let's see.
Mike, I had a question.
Okay. Okay, Jim Klein, Councilman Klein. Now.
Thank you.
Here.
So, Alyssa, I think I mentioned this to you before. I just want to kind of mention it here in the meeting as well. Since this is a historic building, it goes back to 1928, the historic facade, I guess, is going to remain for the most part unchanged. Is that my understanding?
Absolutely. They're going to be utilizing historic tax credits, and that process actually has the highest requirement for retaining historical integrity of anything you could do to a historic building. So they have to go through the National Park Service to make sure that it retains all of its historic elements. So this building will be completely protected in that regard, and in addition, that those tax credits will provide equity that help the project get financed.
Right. That's good. I'll share that with my Historical Commission members then as well. Thank you. Appreciate that. Also, I noticed that the rents here are going to vary quite a bit from $900 a month to $2,300 a month. The 900 is very encouraging to me because my students tell me at the college it's difficult to find rents anywhere in town for less than $1,700. So this is very encouraging.
Yes, well, and I think the $2,300 units will be reserved for the penthouse at the top floor, the larger units. One of the interesting things about this building is there is going to be a variety of floor plans, so that naturally will just allow itself a variety of individuals that can afford, and there'll be a good mix in the property. So it'll be a good thing for a downtown property.
Thank you. Thank you for this.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you so much for this update. I've been curious about this building forever. And when I saw the old pictures of the 1928, and then I saw the air conditioner and how much damage, had been done to the facade, I was curious, but you answered how this was going to be, taken care of. That there's not going to be any AC window units, but there's actually going to be a plan to keep the facade as beautiful. And I mean, just watching this and seeing this building, and hopefully I will be alive when it is completed. But it is so encouraging, and I'm just grateful that someone has stepped up and taken care of also the residents that used to live there, because that was the other thing. I was like, they love it there, or they did, but I'm grateful that he was able to step up and take care of them. So thank you. I'm encouraged by this project.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that feedback. Thanks, Dave.
Okay.
It's all right.
Mayor Guajardo?
Thank you. Well, this is a wonderful project. This is very, very exciting. So we all know this building is, like you just went through, it's in great disrepair, but what you're creating is wonderful. The best part is you've taken care of the people who were living there and moved them over, to even a better living facility and better living environment. So thank you for that. Thank you for this entire project. I know this has been a long time coming. This is going to be, again, another game changer for downtown. So we appreciate your investment and your belief in Corpus Christi and downtown. That said, can you go over quickly just the square footage of that studio? Do you have that?
I don't have, I can ask my team really quickly.
I'm just curious. Is it like, 500? Yes. It's usually, okay.
So it does look like there is one unit. The smallest unit is actually 390 square feet, and there's only one of those. But the rest of the units are over 500, 600, 900. the
Okay.
600 range.
Right, it varies. Okay. And then the one-bedroom, do you know what that one is roughly? I guess it's got to be,
I can provide a
Tonight.
breakdown. I can provide a breakdown
Sure.
of that. Yeah.
just curious on that. And tell me again, the parking, where's the parking?
So the parking will be behind in the parking lot. Let me go back to the site plan here. The parking will be in a parking lot behind. There will not be a parking space provided for each unit. This is something that we're going to look at how the market responds to that, because if we are able to do a smaller unit at $900, but it doesn't include a parking space, but it's for a college student that, or like a recent graduate that walks to work, right? That's something that currently there aren't units available downtown that don't have that built-in parking costs, even if you don't have a car. And this is something that is common in downtown areas, to be able to live and work without paying for a vehicle and paying to store a vehicle. So we will be monitoring kind of how it leases up, kind of what the gap is, and then seeing if that's something that we need to adjust moving forward.
Okay. And currently, we don't have transportation, right, from downtown to the university?
There is
Or
public
is there?
transportation. I think it's a little bit difficult to navigate. There's not like a straight
Right.
shuttle, but I know that that's something that Dr. Miller and the RTA we've been talking about.
Okay. That would be very
providing.
helpful to this.
Yes, absolutely.
You got those little scooters, you know.
Yeah. They go pretty
Just a
fast.
cool 10 miles. Yeah.
They
that's
do.
good.
And just for clarity, so currently 102 units, moving forward, the same 102?
It's currently actually 110 units, so we will be expanding the townhomes are currently like one-story units, so those will be combined to be two-story units. So those will be some of the probably higher-end
Okay.
units
And there,
in this
and there
property.
aren't amenities to speak of, like a pool or, any, that kind of thing?
It does not have a pool, no ma'am.
Okay. All righty.
There will be common spaces, and then I think kind of one of the things of these downtown properties is we'll provide, the amenities mainly come from the source of the businesses that are surrounding it and
Right.
kind of that active street life.
Sure.
So that's one of the kind of value propositions we have for a downtown building versus elsewhere.
Super exciting, and it's a great location for your wonderful art walks.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you again for your investment.
Councilman Hernandez.
Yeah, I was a little concerned about the parking issue with regards to not having a parking spot for each location. And I remember when they tore down the parking garage. But, considering they have retail spaces on there, are there's going to be any request for Type B funding?
No.
Because it could be a catalyst for growth in downtown.
No, sir. I think that we all definitely learned a lesson from that process, and I think that we'll be we'll be communicating and anticipating that ahead of time moving forward. So there is no request for Type B funding with this project.
The tone of my voice may be a little facetious on
Right.
that, but, it's kind of like we did it for one group, but not for another.
Yeah, this project actually kind of received Type A funding already because of the fish pond development. So there was a Type A agreement for affordable housing with Fish Pond.
Right, but
Yes.
that's when you moved the residents, not for
Yes,
this particular
correct.
property.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So in looking at that, would there be an opportunity to look at building a parking garage with the catalyst funds of Type B associated with that?
I think that if we are I think that there's a great deal of groundwork that we need to do before we start financing parking garages. I think that the cost per unit is pretty significant, so it's $17,000 a parking garage or parking space, and so that can mount really quickly, especially when we don't really have much of a gap and much of the ROI is not super grand on the apartment units in the first place before we have to add the additional cost of the parking spaces. So I think that we really need to, and I know they're working on it, but we need to meter the street parking. We need to just do a lot to manage parking as a utility before we start investing in parking garages in this part of the downtown
Well, has that
area.
been offered to the developer to make an application of Type B for funding?
We have not discussed that, no, sir.
I'm sorry?
We have not discussed a Type B application for parking garage funding, no, sir.
Okay, well, any type of Type B funding for this project?
No, sir.
Okay, so considering what we've done for the last developer of a project downtown, I suggest you give them the information on making an application to Type B for funding.
Sure. I can say that this project at a $14 million investment, the $3 million incentive is about 20% of that overall project cost. So that is towards the upper threshold of what we try to
Is
incentivize.
that separate? Type B funding is separate from your requirements as TIRZ, correct?
I think it's a best practice for all economic development projects that we only provide so much of an incentive for any dollar amount of investment.
I want to make sure that we're not favoring one group over another.
Absolutely.
So whether that application goes through or not, you won't know unless the application goes through. So if he has the opportunity for more funding, then make that application. Thank you.
Okay.
Is that it? Councilman Roy.
Well, I think this is a great project, and it is going to be refreshing to see that space being changed. When you look at the overall design in that, it's just got a cool factor, and I think it's important, especially with the rest of downtown. And one of the things I've always said is we bring density into downtown. It resolves a lot of issues, our crime and just all the things. But I do believe that parking is something that we're going to have to look at long term, because as we continue to increase our density there, we've got to be able to make sure that not everyone is going to be able to walk to work, and even though it may be close, that they may need a place to park their vehicle. The other thing that I just want to say about this project is that the fact that this developer has delivered twice now, right? And
No, this will be, yes, yeah, actually, yes, he has delivered
stellar
twice already.
projects. And we appreciate that. We appreciate you helping change the landscape of the downtown area. And I'm excited about it. I'm really excited about it. How long is it going to take to completion?
So the projected completion, our TIRZ completion date is projected for August 2027.
Okay.
So potentially a 3-year project.
Well, good. Again.
But they'll pass very quickly.
Yes,
and it'll be
will.
open.
3 years goes really quick.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
And I'm going to go to Mr. Sedgwick now. I think he's had his light on a while.
Thank you. Just a question. The $15 million total project cost,
Yes, sir.
is all of that fully confirmed, bank commitments, the funding is there?
Oh, sure. They
So that-
bought the
because
building,
usually
yes, sir.
Sometimes you go over that with us to show us how the funding is being provided.
Correct, and that's one of the differences. So we've received a request to bring these projects in open session, so some of that information is proprietary.
Right.
So in this open session, we're providing a certain amount of information. If any of the board members want more detail, we can provide that in a one-on-one setting, or we can move back to e-sessions. But we just want to make sure that we're protecting the proprietary information
And
of
I
the
understand
project.
we didn't go into e-session, so I'm just
Yes, sir.
asking you, and I know you're giving us
Yes.
that it is all there.
Yes, sir.
So we don't need to do that.
Yes.
Back to the parking, don't want to beat this to death, but I could see getting some pushback from the retail merchants down there, because anybody that's going to pay this price for an apartment's got a car. And those cars are going to get parked somewhere down there. And, we're trying to encourage our residents to go downtown to use these businesses and stuff. So, I don't know what the answer is, Alyssa, but it concerns me that these residents are going to be soaking up parking places.
So, okay, so two things about that actually triggered, because we've been working on this project in kind of the pre-development stage for a while. We have identified that about 1 block away, there's a parking garage that they can lease from monthly. So while on site, they will be providing a certain number of parking spaces. If somebody lives and works near downtown and has a car they use on the weekends, they can store that car nearby. And then additionally, we will need to be metering on street in order to make sure that the residents are not parking there long term. But that's a whole nother conversation about the parking meter system. And so hopefully we can be moving forward on that once that business manager position gets filled and we have a body to help facilitate those conversations.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Moving right along. Councilman Hunter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I have a question for Heather and Alyssa. I'll start with you, Alyssa. Have we looked at this property before as a TIRZ group?
Not as a TIRZ group. This property, I think, has been proposed multiple times as a LIHTC project, but at that time, it was not one of the selected projects. So we were told then the best case scenario would be for someone to come in, move the residents to another property, and then renovate this one. We thought that was like a pie in the sky idea, but here we are with it actually being approved today. So this is a best case scenario for this development.
Okay, so that kind of answers my second question. Thank you. And Heather, so the chairman brought up a concern earlier about our fund balance and how it's refunded every year with the $4 million. What happens to our fund balance if we approve all of today's projects? And sorry, I should have asked you this on the last item.
I think we still have sufficient fund balance to be able to cover based off of our estimated revenues through the end of the fiscal, through the end of the life of the TIRZ. One of the things that the committee, the board will need to consider is the fact that like this project right now is estimated to be completed in 27. The TIRZ expires in 28. So right now the contract includes the promise to pay of 4 equal payments, which technically the TIRZ would have expired by then. So we do have sufficient balances to pay it out in full. But
Sure.
As we continue to move forward, we're going to have to look to see what does that look like.
You couldn't give us a number.
I don't have it off the top of my head. I could provide that to the board after this.
Because this one's going to be 700, the other one's $1 million.
You looked at, we.
And I'm talking about their payment installments. This one's 750 3 times, or 4 times, I'm sorry.
Yes,
So if this project is scheduled to be done in 3 years, but there's 4 payments, 4 yearly payments of 750,
So we monitor that on the back end before we bring something to you to fund, and we have a chart that we keep in our office that kind of looks at the cash flows. We're producing, I think, anticipated $4 million a year in revenue, so that's kind of, we never want to go beyond committing $4 million in a year, but I think we already have an $8 million fund balance, so that's kind of the formula we're using on the back end to make sure that we don't overcommit our funds.
And I guess the main thing I'm looking at is there's a lot of areas downtown that could use some help.
Sure.
And there's, we're coming to an end here in December at this council, and there's future councils that are going to be coming up. I want to make sure they have the appropriate funding to make decisions as well.
So to answer your question, based off of our current estimations of $4.1 million in revenue through 28, our current commitments, current administrative expenses, we would have almost $12 million to be able to make additional commitments. So to answer your question with what we're looking at today, that still leaves sufficient fund balance to be able to, our future revenues to be able to commit against for other projects.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, Councilman Barrera.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple things. First off, also, I'd like to thank the developer, Mr. Fournier. We appreciate it. I know that I think you came and maybe mentioned this project to me about 6 years ago, and so, thanks for having the vision and sticking with it through all this time. We appreciate your commitment to Corpus Christi. The other thing is, I think now, and Alyssa, also thank you and your team for putting together projects like this. I remember, I think, Rudy, you probably remember when they thought everybody was nuts about the Cosmopolitan, that it wasn't going to take off, and now, you obviously live there and a big supporter of that. And, I always, I'm sure people get tired of me bringing up my kids when they live in these other metropolitan areas. But when you have a parking problem, that's good. I think sometimes we want to be proactive, but then, capitalism takes over. Now all of a sudden we've got a parking garage that can be utilized. When Zach lived in New Orleans and he worked there, a parking space in an apartment building that he lived in downtown New Orleans was $350 a month. So he went to a public parking garage where it was $75, which was 2 blocks down, and then he ended up buying a scooter just like, I know somebody made a joke around here earlier.
No, I was serious.
Yeah, he literally did. I mean, he was talking about, you were talking about the university, but he did that because of the fact that the ability to be able to get in and out everywhere. It was really more, it was like a downgraded moped, but I think those are good things and those are good problems that we're having because, you know, for the developer, if we're starting to look at, I think that's another thing. It's one of the things that we learned at the RTA is that real estate, it's an expensive piece of real estate to utilize for parking. So that way, if we have some municipal arrangement, that's another thing to incent to downtown. And we've talked about that. So thank you very much to both to you and your team and Mr. Fournier. We appreciate it. You know, you still have some other people because I was going to make a motion to approve, but I'll wait for Dan. Thank you.
Thank you also for recognizing the team, sir, because they do work very hard in the background on all the details, and this wouldn't be possible without their hard work. So thank you for recognizing them.
Councilman Suckley.
Thank you, Chairman. Just to share the developer love, appreciate your investment in the community and coming into Corpus Christi and doing this for downtown. Couple of quick questions or comments. Parking concern, I think, you know, it's been shared to Councilman Barrera's point. It's a good problem to have, but I think probably, you know, it's also a deterrent for some folks to go downtown to Art Walk or a retail business or what have you, somewhat of a deterrent to do that if you know that the parking could be challenging. So it's certainly something that we need to figure out going forward. And then lastly is to Jim's comment earlier about the project cost. Just to clarify, that project cost of just under $15 million is the improvement cost, right? It does not factor in the original cost of the building?
No, it does. It factors in everything. So original cost of the building, soft costs, contingency.
Okay, that's a turnkey number.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay.
All encompassing.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all I have on board. Well, I'll just echo to the owner, thank you very much. This is a building that our downtown business owners have been talking about for a long time and hoping that somebody would come along someday and make an improvement. So we're taking something that has been a long time eyesore. I was invited several years ago to go into the villa, and the only word I could come up with at that time was scary. So, and it was unfortunate people were having to live under those circumstances. So we appreciate what you're doing there and what you did to get them moved over to a nice new place. Alyssa, you know, you and I have had this conversation a million times about the stress on parking downtown. And way back there somewhere when we first started this TIRZ, we did a parking study and paid for. We probably need to schedule in the very near future a you know, upgrade to that study, if you will, and bring that back to this board for some in-depth discussion, because while it is a good problem, we don't want it to become a problem.
Sure. That
starts putting a damper on the things that we have accomplished in downtown Corpus Christi and will continue to accomplish, I feel. So anyway, with all that said, I'll entertain a motion to approve this project.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Motion by Mr. Barrera, seconded by Mayor Guajardo. Any discussion? Oh, Mayor, I'm sorry, did you have a? No. Oh, okay. I'll entertain a vote. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Alyssa, next one.
Thank you, sir. The next item we oh, do you want me to move on?
Yes, please.
Okay. The next item we have in front of you is a motion to approve a downtown development agreement with YC Texas Hotel, LLC, for improvements to the property located at 601 North Water Street for a total incentive not to exceed $2,158,500. Okay, moving into the presentation. So this project is being called Hotel Aria. This is the former site of the Hotel Corpus Christi Bayfront and the historic site of the Nueces Hotel, which many of you know was the site of where the deal was signed for the port, for the Naval Air Station, for even Kingsville, Texas A&M Kingsville, back in the day when all those big things were happening in our community. So that hotel was damaged during Hurricane Celia, torn down. This hotel was built in its place. So it is over 50 years old, it qualifies for historic designation, but they are completely renovating it, putting those 200 rooms back into service. Improvements will include resurfacing of the roof, new paint, stucco repairs, doors, enhancements to the entryways, upgraded lighting, new security cameras, new signage, parking, lot repaving, landscaping, and upgrade to the existing elevators. They've also completely redone the plumbing, mechanical systems inside the building as well, because those were long in need of repair. So this property was acquired in 2019. We all know what happened in 2020, and what happened to the hospitality market, and especially regarding financing. So this project was paused, and the developer held on to it, was really bought into the idea of redeveloping this site, passed on multiple opportunities to sell, and is now coming forward with this redevelopment proposal. So the overall project cost, again, including everything, is over $24 million. We are recommending about a little over 1.3 from the streetscape program for exterior improvements, and then $775,000 from the vacant building improvement program to help pay for elevator costs. And they're anticipating renovation to take a year because this package does focus on the exterior, the elevator work. Much of the other work has already been undertaken.
Okay.
We also don't have a program to just facilitate renovations of hotel buildings. So these were the two categories that this project qualified for. So moving on, you can see the condition of the exterior. This property does take up one entire city block. It has a lot of different function areas on it. One of the mainstays is Cassidy's on the corner that has been in operation since, I believe, the early 2000s. So they'll continue to stay in that property.
And it does have a parking garage.
It does have a parking garage, yes, sir. Yeah, I think back in these days, parking was at the demand for parking was pretty significant in the downtown area. I think even that Furman parking garage, people were paying like $100 a month at least to rent those spaces. So this was a period of time where that demand really did translate into the market, into building parking garages. But we're not quite there yet with our demand. So hopefully we'll get back to that stage soon. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so here's the current condition of the exterior, and this is the project concept. So you see they're just going to streamline it. It's going to be more modern, coastal. They're making improvements to the roof, and really just updating the sheathing and updating the overall project. Here are some of the concepts for the interior. So previously it was kind of Spanish colonial. It was kind of dated, a lot of dark woods. So there'll be updates to it, just making it more light, airy, coastal, and contemporary. And then here's one more for that branding, really just taking inspiration from the fact that we're a coastal community, waterfront, so brightening it up and making it a little more clean and airy. Our recommendation is, again, $1.3 million from the Streetscape and Safety Program, $775,000 from the vacant building, for a total of $2,158,500. We recommend that payout over 2 years in the amount of $1,079,250, with a goal of completion and opening by May of next summer. Happy to answer any questions.
Mayor Guajardo.
Thank you. So what, oh gosh, my mind just went blank. What is how many rooms was it?
200.
200. Is that what it is? Is that the original?
Yes, ma'am.
It is, okay, great. And then the other thing I was going to ask you was, the developers, are they from, they're here?
Yes.
Okay, great. And they are from?
They're based out of Nevada.
Nevada.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you. Thank you for your investment in Corpus Christi. Yeah, this is very exciting. Another great project. Thank you.
Okay, Councilman Roy.
So my first question is is this brand, is this unique? Is that a name that you came up with, or is that something that
My name is Bal Gosel. First of all, I would like to thank you guys for having us on the agenda. So Hotel Aria is our own brand. We have one in Miami in Coconut Grove. Our corporate offices are in Nevada, but we're very, very excited. It will be part of the Hilton reservation system, but Hotel Aria is a soft brand, which is very common these days.
Yeah, it's got a nice ring to it. And again, I was talking earlier about downtown, and I don't know, it's going to be another couple years. It's going to be pretty swanky, so I'm excited. As far as the, are you going to have any retail space?
We absolutely are. Matter of fact, just last night we had dinner with 2 local gals who's going to open up a restaurant in the front. The name is Lola's.
Are they going to come present us?
Oh, should we wait? Okay, so I'm not supposed to say that. But anyways, yes. I apologize. But we absolutely are. And
we heard nothing. We heard nothing.
Okay. But anyways, we're just really, really excited. Like she said, we bought this 5 years ago. We had numerous times we could have sold it. But we really, really believed in it when we bought it, and we believed in it today.
Well, we appreciate you investing in Corpus Christi. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Councilman Suckley.
Thank you, Chairman. Councilman Roy stole a couple of my questions about the brand and the name. So similar to my the last item, my question on the project cost. So this is 24 million total project cost,
Yes.
including the building.
Yes, sir.
Also.
Yes, sir. Soft cost contingencies, yes, sir.
So with our portion here that we're looking at approving, the 2.1 million.
It's 9%.
So what is the overall, what is the improvement cost that they're actually going to be putting into the project?
So, and some of these improvements have already been undertaken, and so that's why what we focused on with the incentive, what we've done with the incentive is what hasn't been done yet. Hold on, I wrote this down because I anticipated this question. I need to get back to you on that number, sir.
That's fine. My only comment is a project, well, I'll ask a question, then I'll dovetail into my next.
Okay.
Are all 200 rooms going to be in service?
Yes, sir.
They're all going to be improved and put into service?
Yes. The part of the building that is not being improved right now is the portion on the southern half, which is a very large ballroom. We're talking with the developer and hopefully do some more modernly relevant programming and activation on that side of the building. So this really pertains to the main hotel structure, where the rooms are. The top floor will have an entertainment space, but there's an additional part of the building that we're not looking at right now.
Okay. My only comment is with respect to the 2.1 we're looking at approving, divided by 200 rooms and the amount of exterior work and common areas that need to be improved as well.
Yes.
It doesn't seem very impactful. That's why I'm curious what that total project amount is that they're investing in each room. But aside from that, I'm fine with it. Thanks for your investment in Corpus Christi. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Councilman Hernandez.
I think you know where my question's going to go with this one. This is another hotel project that we have in downtown area. It's going to have retail space, so I'm assuming it's going to be a catalytic kind of thing for downtown. Have they also been given the opportunity to apply with Type B? And the reason I say that is because the last hotel project we gave $2 million to. So would this also be something similar?
Oh gosh, there's so many. Okay, one of the reasons that because we're renovating an existing building, many of the programs that we have created lean heavily towards supporting renovations of existing structures than straight up new construction. So for the previous, another hotel that we've incentivized, there was only so much that we could incentivize based upon the way our programs are structured. So our programs, again, favor and are able to better provide support for projects like this. Additionally, because I think on this project, the main focus of the space that's not being renovated is where potential retail improvements could go. So I think there's going to be some small spaces in the front on the first floor of this property that we will bring back for potentially something with the tenant. But until we move to that second phase of the retail space, of that second phase of renovation, I think that's when conversations would be had related to that type of incentive.
But that's still separate, right?
Yes.
We're talking about the actual incentive availability. Like, for example, with Homewood Suites, I believe the TIRZ provided $1.55 million.
Yes, sir.
And we're providing, what, $2 million? And this is a larger hotel?
So, yes, but they're for different things.
I understand it's
okay,
different, but
got
I'm
it.
talking about the investment.
Yes.
So considering the total investment we had for Homewood Suites, what was that the total amount?
Well, the Homewood Suite, I'm sorry, I'm worrying to answer, and I'm
When
not
I'm saying the
necessarily
total
answering your question.
investment from both TIRZ and Type B, which was like $3.5 million, right?
Right.
So that's why I'm saying here is if, if we're, to Councilman Suckley's point, in terms of investment for something, I want to give them the same opportunity we provided to Homewood Suites in terms of accessing that funding. So I would ask that you provide them the information to make an application to Type B.
Okay, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, any other further questions? Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't see your light out there, Jim.
We did not go to executive session.
Correct.
So we haven't seen the underlying financing for this project.
Yes.
So I guess we're relying on DMD staff that y'all are satisfied that the resources are there, that they have firm commitments to complete these projects, both of them. I asked about the first one, and now here's another one just like it.
Yes, sir. So we follow, we're credentialed, right, as economic developers, and so we follow that process and doing our due diligence on the back end before bringing a proposal forward. So we have confirmed that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else? Okay. Alyssa, you mentioned a while ago, answering one of the questions here, that this $24 million that we're seeing here today doesn't reflect some of the other money that's already been spent on this
It
project?
does. It includes everything.
It includes that. So even what they've spent prior to coming here today?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Because when we're tracking investment in downtown, it really needs to be all-encompassing, and there would be no other time for us to document these numbers. So when we bring this forward is when this really gets put on the books, and we want to make sure we're telling the full story of all the investment that's happened, even along the way up until this point.
Okay. Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve, and I didn't say this before, but this is item G4 on our agenda today. So I'm sorry, I have another comment by Councilman Hernandez.
Sorry, I forgot to, and I'm putting this on you, and it's really not your spot. So for the two developers that are here, our economic development person here is Heather Hurlbert. She's sitting behind you there in the kind of the brown colored blouse. Make sure you get with her to ask those questions for Type B funding. Thank you.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you very much, Alyssa. We'll now move to item G5.
Yes, sir. The next item we have before you is a motion to approve a First Amendment to the TIRZ No. 3 Downtown Development Reimbursement Agreement with 611 Commerce Venue Hall for a property located at 605 Mesquite Street, which provides the developer an extension from June 30th, 2024 to June 30th, 2025 for the renovation of this building. And the developer, Roy, is with us here in the audience.
Okay, are there any questions about this extension? If not, I'll entertain a motion. We have a motion and a second. Mr. Klein, you have a comment?
Yeah, I asked you about this before as well, about the nature of the extension. It's year-long. Is that standard practice, I guess, to year-long, as opposed to, like, say, 6 months or something like that?
Yes, sir. So we'll extend in 6-month to 1-year increments, depending upon the project and the progress and then the difficulty level of the project. So one of the things that has been run into in this project is because it's an older building that's being renovated and kind of being required to be brought into today's standards, the design professionals are still working through the permitting process. So they've gone back and forth with development services. We're in regular communication with them. There's discussions happening. We check in every other week to make sure that there's kind of progress, but we anticipate that we'll need some time to work through that permitting process, and we should be on the back end of that, and then we'll need to resume construction.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Councilman Suckley.
Thank you, Chairman. My only comment, Alyssa, is I think I asked this last year at some point about these ones that we're having kind of the recurring or the extensions or recurring extensions on is I'd made a recommendation that, especially when we're bumping it out another year, that we have something that we get them to certify that there's been no material change in their financial condition or ability to undertake the project. So just wanted to see if that's been done and kind of if that's kind of a standard practice going forward, I think it would be prudent, in my opinion.
Okay, no, sir, we have not implemented that process. I apologize, I must have missed that, but we will definitely do it moving forward. And we can, after this, we can do that and provide that to you as well, if you would like.
Great, thank you.
Okay. I had a motion and a second, I think, already. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. We'll now move to item G6.
Okay, yes, sir. So this next item is a motion to approve a First Amendment to the TIRZ number 3 Downtown Development Reimbursement Agreement with Lucas Boyd for the property located at 317 Peoples Street, which provides the developer with an extension from a completion date from May 31st, 2024 to November 30th, 2024. They are almost there, but I think that the end of May timeframe is a little too close for all of the work remaining to be done. There was a change in ownership of this property, and the new property owner had some additional adjustments they wanted to make to the plan, so that's one of the reasons for the delay. But we have made great progress. There's updates in your packet of updated photos of the interior, and we're very confident with their ability to deliver by this date.
Okay, another great project. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Yeah.
Motion passes. And we have presentation items under H7, DMD updates.
Okay, so the next item is just an update on DMD projects and what we are working on currently, as well as the status of some of our development projects. So the first update we have is in our placemaking mission element and area of operations. We're passing out a poster to you right now of the muralists that we are bringing in for our mural festival. We're really excited to share with you the renderings of the new public art that is going to be going through downtown at the beginning of June. We first have a mural going actually on Northwater Apartments that's being done by a really well-regarded muralist out of the Dallas area that gives credence, or just kind of recognizes the surfing culture and really ties together downtown with the island kind of programming as well, so we're excited about that. The next mural actually recognizes the cattle tyrant, that little bird that's living on Schatzel and Chaparral Street that managed to get his way here all the way. I think this is the first time he's been seen in the U.S., and birders are coming from all over the country to see this bird, so that's a culturally significant element. We then have a mural that's still in the development stages with our presenting sponsor, Corpus Christi Medical Center, that will temporarily beautify the exterior of the ward building. We then have a mural that actually has been taken from a photograph of Corpus Christi that's in the Library of Congress from 1939 of some gentlemen fishing off the jetties. We wanted to just recognize fishing as a cultural element here in Corpus Christi, so we thought that that was really great. And then finally, we have a really wonderfully detailed wall mural that will be going on the Akasushi building. It incorporates a lot of design elements, again, of really talented artists, and it also has a dragon because it's the year of the dragon. So happy to answer any questions. We hope to see all of you out, and we know the community will really appreciate these new pieces of art. We also, just to kind of reference, this will be, Mural Fest will be happening on Art Walk. We were recognized, an article was released yesterday in Texas Monthly, identifying Art Walk as the bearer of a new era of pride for Corpus Christi, so we're really excited about that. This is a very large undertaking that our team, the other half of our team, really facilitates each month. It brings, I think our last month we had actually 18,000 people downtown within the 6 to 10 hour time frame, which is really significant, and has really helped facilitate a lot of activity, and I think is what we've all been wanting for years now, so really significant development there. And economic development, just an update on Firm and Foundry. The main thing outstanding for this project is signage. It will be complete by July 31st, so there's already, I think they're 85% leased for the renovation, and it, again, it's just a really popular site. Friday night I saw 3 different photo shoots happening in front of this building at the same time. Of course, it's graduation season, but again, it's something that makes people love Corpus Christi, and so we're really happy whenever we're able to help facilitate that. Marty McPie's, we will have their grand opening at 4 p.m. before Mural Fest. So this is great. This is in the space next to the Best Western. And then the Bay Building is complete with their exterior improvements. We are going through the reimbursement process right now. So we will be hopefully completing that here by the end of the month and paying them out. Happy to answer any other questions.
Any questions, board members? Okay, Alyssa, thank you. And before we adjourn, I just want to make a quick comment here. Today, we have approved $42 million worth of investment in downtown Corpus Christi. Now, those of you who have been involved in this process for a while, like I have, if you would have said just 10 short years ago that we were going to have $42 million of investment in downtown Corpus Christi, they would have laughed you out of this building. So this is a significant step forward with all the other things that we've had going on in Corpus Christi, in downtown Corpus Christi. So Alyssa, thank you for your dedication and service. Thank you to your team. Thank you for the investors and the owners who are putting their money into these projects. We are very excited, and I think this is great news for Corpus Christi.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your support and for staff, city staff as well. It's definitely a collaborative effort between all of us that makes this possible. Thank you, sir.
Yes, Mayor?
Thank you. Thank you. Well said. So I won't repeat that, but your team is vital. It is vital, and I think you know that, but you need to hear that from us, because we get to stand up and say, we're growing, everything's going great, but it's because the team behind us, and that's you. So that said, you had a wonderful article in the Texas Monthly. I want you to tell the council a little bit about that, and if you'll share that with us, that'd be great.
Sure, and we can send out the link as well.
That's what I meant, yeah.
This is something that was part of a feature. I think Visit had wanted to showcase Art Walk, and so they had pitched it as part of kind of a Gulf Coast summary. But when Texas Monthly came to visit, they were so impressed by it, it spun off to its own feature, is what we are anticipating. So it's really nice. Again, it brings attention to what we are doing and how this is transformative for the community and really significant. And so again, if you haven't been down to an art walk, I really recommend that you visit so you can see how many people are really enjoying our downtown in a way that we haven't seen in a very long time.
It's amazing. And the vibe that you get, I don't know if everybody has gone or not, probably so, but it's something else. And you feel it in the air. It's wonderful. And when you have your high school kids and their friends talking about, oh, we might go to Art Walk. Wow. I mean, that's when you know. And that's what's happening. So congratulations to the team. Congratulations on that wonderful article. If you'll share it with the council, that would be great.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Garza.
Yeah. Like to echo. I'm not sure this is working.
Well, hold on. Push your button again. Now, did that fix?
Is it working? Sure.
There you go.
Can you hear me now? All right. Anyway, I just, all these projects are worthy projects, and I'm in favor of all of them, and I said, again, the hotel. But I really believe that the most important part right now that we've got to look at, make sure we leave funds aside for, is your downtown living initiatives. The project that they're looking to do to revitalize, redo the Gulf Via apartments, I think is vital. We're really going to get a chance to see the additional units downtown. The old CV apartments came off and moved over to the 6th Street Hancock area about the time the Cosmopolitan got full. So we really haven't had the impact of the additional numbers from the Cosmopolitan because, again, one came on and one came off. When you get CV apartments back on, now it's going to be the flats, the address 418 flats, I guess it is, 416 flats. Anyway, that's going to show us exactly what downtown living, the increase in downtown living is going to do for the area. Now, the bars, the restaurants, the grocery store, all the other little shops, right, can't survive unless you've got folks living downtown. So again, you have to do something when you don't have projects, so you have to help those little mom and pops that want to open up. But I think that the Downtown Living Initiative, you've got to make sure that we come up with a more strategic plan to figure out how we can carve out or set aside funds for Downtown Living Initiative so that you can make downtown vital all week long. The art walks are fantastic. The events, the special events that we have down at the Water's Edge Park, the Beach to Bay, all those things are great. They bring a huge influx of people downtown for the weekend. But I get to see the activity during the week because I live down there, and it is great to see folks going down there and taking pictures, high school pictures, in front of the Furman Plaza and that stuff. But the activity level during the week is still a little bit low. I mean, we're doing everything we can, but I think that the key is going to be having more folks living downtown.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilman Hunter.
Back to the art walk scenario. We also want to congratulate Councilman Rudy Garza and his council at the time, because they were the ones who created the art walk. Well, they're not created, I'm sorry. They're the ones who voted on it. So we really appreciate you making that decision for us, and now you get to see the fruits of your labor.
Okay, any other comments, questions? Well, again, I just want to reiterate, these are great projects. We're very excited. I agree with former Councilman Garza that our downtown living initiative is important. My wife and I are still waiting on a condominium unit in downtown Corpus Christi, and we're ready to move. Anyway, thank you all very much, and we are adjourned. Thank you.
So when I look out my window,